Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lili Nismas Mimirotzi Ruspas Mordechai. Hayoim. Chamisha Besim Yoim Shem Shloisha Shavuos Varbo Yomim Omer. Today's share is sponsored zchus Rena Bas Yaffa Shaindel for Shidduch, and by Shamshon Siegelman, Lili Nismas, Fradel Bas Reb Mordechai, and Dov Pinchas ben R Moshe, and by Yitzy and Yael, Lebensburger, a Shidduch for our daughter Chava Bas Yael Tzipporah, Chavie Horn from Miami. I think I'll read his email tomorrow together with some other of his chaverim. Okay. Yeah. I hear somebody's no davening during emails, please. There's an email by Steve Stern. Hello, Raveli. Was not sure. Oh. We Baruch Hashem had a baby boy, and everything was good. And as always, it's his first kid. It's always good. However, we discovered later on that it has fluid in his lungs, which is common, not typical. He was sent to the NICU to be monitored. Very, very difficult days on many different levels, especially since our first child. We didn't know what to expect. We're completely beyond Hashem. I like to consider myself a simple, quiet guy who learns when he can and works to make a parnasa. Once I left yeshiva, I decided to join Daf Yomi. He was inspired by his father. The commitment, plus the achrayus and the daily habit, all great things. Okay, that was truly Rameir Shapira's vision. You have shown in many different ways how your share benefits people. However, I'm not sure if this angle is pointed out, which is there are days where after a full day you want to learn but don't have the head for it. Your share, because of its clarity and enjoyment, gives the ability to tune in even when you don't have the head for learning. You hear Yaakov? You're listening every word, but really want to. And with my recent experience, I almost had no head for learning except for doing the daf and chazing with your share, which gave me the ability to learn more, which I really appreciate. Out of Kars HaToiv, I feel the need to send this email and also help inspire other people. If you're going through an assignment or don't have the head to learn, but you really want to, you should listen to the shir. There's always what to gain. Thank you. Then he adds over here that they finally took his baby off the CPAC. Did I say oxygen before? Okay, good. CPAC. Came off and was able to learn 2 daf next to my baby, and there was no greater simcha. And his wife was very impressed that after a long, crazy day with all these things going on, he still had the head to learn. That's why I said it's the daf makes you a better husband. The wife starts appreciating. The children start appreciating. It's unbelievable. One more from, we're a little late today, so just one short one from Judah Lehrer. Thanks for the shiurim, great chazara while on the treadmill. Love it. I hold it's a great thing to do. Learn a little exercise, have a little exercise, and on the treadmill, don't go too fast because then you won't be able to chazer. But you could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. There was a Mrs. Stefansky, who was the principal of Beis Yaakov of Ramapo in Muncie. Was that your mom? Yes, that was my mother. Shkoyach. I received 8 emails from this chashva person. I didn't realize how chashva he was. Otherwise, I would probably respond, but I don't really respond to emails. He says he listens to the share every day. And he finally couldn't get a hold of me, so he just delivered it to my house somehow. He lives in America. He's the Baal Mechaber of the Sefer Torah's Yoma. It's only in the first 3 prakim of Yoma. And Yoma has more than, 7, 8 prakim. How many prakim are there? 8. So imagine this Chelik Aleph. I went through a little bit yesterday. It's amazing. I feel like I know him. His name is Weissman. What's his first name? Moshe Yitzchok Weissman. I wonder if I learned with... No, Chaim Yisrael. Sorry. Chaim Yisrael Weissman. Maybe I learned with him in Pesach or something. I don't know. I feel like I know him. Okay. I don't remember the names. The Medrash says Weissman? Yeah. Maybe. He's listening. He's an author. Chosher Zachaner. All right, Rabbi Yisai, here we are on Daf. Today's Daf Yud Aleph. We're on the last words on Daf Yud Amud Beis Man Tana Lahadu Torah Rabbanon. So we have machlokes in this Lishkas Parhedron, situated right. Is this backwards? No, right over here. We said somewhere over here, Lamed Aleph. Lishkas Parhedron. Does it require mezuzah? Yes. Rabbi Yehuda says, even though it's Bal Karchach, the Kohen is forced there, there's a Gzeira. There, people shouldn't say that the Kohen Gadol is forced to be there, he's in a jail, so we make it nice like a home. Chacham say, even a dira that's forced requires a mezuzah. So Mantan Allah Rabbanan. So who is it that says Tab Yud Aleph Amud Aleph? By the way, that's 10 daf into Yoma. It's a tremendous milestone. We're already 10 daf in. We just started yesterday. We're already 10 daf. Kol Hasharim Shahayusham Loyhaya La Mezuzah. Chutz Mishar Nikanor. All the gates don't have a mezuzah. Besides, right over here, Shar Nikanor. You see this, Gary? You're off. No. Kimat. Oh, very nice. Shar Nikanor. Shira Maloi steps. So because the only way to get to Lamed Aleph is through here, so this requires a mezuzah, just like on your own home would require a mezuzah. Shlufnim mimenu lishkas parhedrin. The Vilna Gaon is Garis Sharamayim, which I believe is over here. I didn't have time to look, but it makes a little bit more sense maybe because it's right next to it, not just the main shar. Maybe you need it down here also. Leimer Rabbanani veloy Rabbi Yehuda. Why does this need a mezuzah? People are not, this has nothing to do with the jail. The jail is over here. Rabbanan say that it requires a mezuzah. The Rabbi Yehuda he gufik zera and anekom v'nigzor gzera l'gzera. The whole idea of a mezuzah on shar nikanar on shar lushkas parhedrin is for gzera. The people shouldn't say it's a jail. So we're going to go and make a second gzera in order to uphold a dirabanan kind of thing. You don't do that. That's gzera to gzera. Says the Gemara afilu temer Rabbi Yehuda kula chod gzerahi. It's one thing, and maybe I just slipped before. It's one idea. If this was your house, you put the mezuzah in. So in Mela, you put the mezuzah right here as well, even though your room is over here. It's one gzera, it's not two gzeras. Bish arecha. It says in the Torah, we say it every day, 3 times a day. You should put, maybe even more, you should put mezuzahs on your gates. What does it mean? Echad shari batim. Whether it's a gate to your own home, vechad shari chatzeros, or a gate to your chatzer, vechad shari medinois, going into a city. Ve'echad sharei ayaros. So, what do you think? Does Yerushalayim, the gates going into Yerushalayim, do you need a mezuzah? This is Shar Nikanor, in case you want. It's right over here. Great. So, here, Shar Tzion in Yerushalayim today, to this very day, has a mezuzah. This is what it looks like. I try to erase the Yudke Vavke here a little bit, so if somebody does print it. But here, if you go there, it's like embedded in the shar. There's a gate, Shar Tzion, from the inside, not the outside. Not where the bullet holes are, but the nice side. Yesh bem chayvas mitzvah lam makoim. You have a chayva to do the mitzvah HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mishum shenemar uchsaftam al mezuzos beisecha uvish orecha, on the gates. Omle abayel Rav Safra. Hani avulei de mechayza. So here's avulei de mechayza. This gateway going into Mechayza, which Rashi says there was a majority of Jews living in Mechayza. My time, how come there's no mezuzah there? Omer hanu chizuk la'akro de kuve Yehuda avdei. This was to hold up this dwelling place, this little house on top of the wall, and Rashi says when you do it like this, it gives it more strength. Like a triangle is stronger than a square, so I guess that's what something like that. It gives it a little bit more strength when it's rounder. It's to hold this up. Now, last time I did this, I asked a question once for $1,000, and Noam knew the answer. And I actually just paid him up. I paid you. I don't know if you realize. As mavliad in the Shadchanis. I gave the Shadchanis plus 1,000. True, because I don't really like the bet. But now, anybody can answer this besides Leiby. What is wrong with this picture for $500? What is wrong with this picture? And you have to know, you have to give me the source also. No. What is wrong with this picture? So the answer is, if we learned in Eruvin, you have to know Eruvin about pet. By the way, these guys, Leiby and the 10 Kaila guys, just took a test last week on 450 daf Gemara. 450. I don't know if you could fathom what that means. To know 450. From beginning of Shas till Shkolim. But anyway, the Gemara in Eruvin says that if the doors on Avuli the Mechayza would close, then it would be a Rosh Hashanah. So it had doors. This is showing without doors. It's a shtickle mistake. That's it. For $500. Okay. Says the Gemara, but the bottom line is but what about this house on top? In order to get to the house, you need to go through the door. You have to go through here to get here. So it should require mezuzah for the house. Forget about the city. The jailer lives over here. I guess he was a tough guy, and they wanted him, by the entrance. I don't know exactly what happened there, but this is where he lived. Because we know, what if a jailer or a chazan? What's a chazan? A chazan is what Yeshua Aaron Price is a chazan. It doesn't mean a guy with a voice. It means the guy that's in charge of the whole place. The guy that takes care of everything. So, Beis HaKnesses sheyesh boi beis dira lechazan HaKnesses chayes b'mezuzah. If the shul, sometimes the shuls had a place to live, then even though a shul is parted from a mezuzah because it's for the tzibur, according to one man, we'll see. Nevertheless, it has a house. It's chayes b'mezuzah. It's dangerous to start putting mezuzahs in mechayza. Why? Mezuzahs yachid nivdekes pamayim b'shavua. We know we check the mezuzahs. How often do we check our mezuzahs? Twice a week. Twice in a shemitah. How often? So Rav Weissman brings over here. He says if you're supposed to check, we'll see. Twice in a yovel means, yovel's 50 years, and twice means do it after 25 years. So l'chayra, it also means after 3.5 years. I saw Reb Chaim Kanievsky says that as well. Now, real quickly, I just mentioned it, and it just happened to my brother-in-law. He bought a beautiful, expensive Sefer Torah, and when they're in Shmooze somewhere, it says the word Esak HaPayros, who was checked with computers, checked by 2 Magiyim, and they missed this. The Balkari saw this. It says Esak HaPayros. It's supposed to say Esak HaPayros, and it says Esa Kapayros. The Hey was with the S, and Kapayros is by itself. 100% puzzle is the Sefer Torah. So you check your mezuzahs. Now, a couple of maises. First of all, our good friend Yermi Gold, he was making a chasana, and his son, the chassan, broke his leg like a few weeks before the chasana. So I told him, you have to check your mezuzahs. You have to check. So I checked his mezuzahs. I saw that the word ragleichem is missing from the mezuzah. Mamish, unbelievable. The only problem is there is no such word ragleichem in the mezuzah. Dailam is going, unbelievable story. Okay. But here's a real story. That was a Ma'aser Shkamatoya. He did break his leg, but I didn't check his mezuzah. There was a good mice I saw that there was a kid that had an eating disorder. He kept on eating and eating. He couldn't fill himself up. So Reb Chaim Kanievsky said, check his mezuzah. And it says in the mezuzah, instead of v'achalta v'savata, it says v'achalta v'achalta. Mice Shaya. Should eat and eat. And the kid kept on eating and eating. Okay, fine. So anyways, there's an Indian to check. What's very interesting, I just saw that Dr. Factor says that might be the reason for his diet. Okay, I hear. Check. But some Sefer says something very interesting. Some Sefer says the only thing that we have to check today is to make sure that there's no water, there's no this. I had a mezuzah in Chicago, my front door was waterlogged. Water got into that special casing and destroyed the mezuzah. So you could check it yourself, basically, based on the Chassam Sofer. You don't have to check for Yeseris and Chaseris and Yeseris, because that you did already when you bought your mezuzah. Nothing changed from 3.5 years ago. You don't have to check for Chaseris. It's an unbelievable thing. Based on all these stories, unless something funny happens, then you might want to check. That's what the Chassam Sofer time is. Only Chaseris and Yeseris. Now, if it's a community mezuzah like on Shar Tzion, but that's embedded, nobody's checking that ever. But twice every 50 years. Omer Rabbi Yehuda, and Rashi points out, because everybody pushes it off and says, I don't want to check it, you check it. It's one of these things that people, so we say, you know what, let's not be matriach them twice every 50 years. Omer Rabbi Yehuda Ma'aseh Ba'ar Tovin Echad Shahaya Boydek Mezuzas B'Shuka Elyon Shel Tzipporah. There's a person busy checking the mezuzas in Tzipporah. Umatzai Kazdor Echad, a guy met him, V'natam Mimeno Elav Zuz. He fined him 1,000 zuz. So it almost seems like that a sakana is not just a sakana. He might chop your head off, but he might give you a tremendous fine of 1,000 zuz, unless you say that he could have chopped his head off and just let him off easy by giving him 1,000 zuz kind of thing. But you see the idea of a sakana, so too mechayza sakana. You don't want to start out with a guy and they don't appreciate your mezuzahs. Fine. Happens to be, if the whole city is Jewish, you chayv mezuzah. Unless there's a guy there, Goyim will go by and be mevaza the mezuzah. They'll take it out. Sometimes they like to put it in a place, slumim, whatever it is they do. But if they're going to be mevaza, or sakana, then you don't have to. If partial Goyim live there as well, then you're potter. Why? Because as we're going to learn later on, yirbu yimeichem. L'man yirbu yimeichem, you want to put the mezuzah up for long life, and they don't have that inyan, so therefore, they're potters, maybe you're potter. That's what they say. The Gemara asks a question. Shluchei mitzvah, ein zoikin. What's the problem? He's going to do a mitzvah. How can you get a fine? Why do you have to be concerned? Says the Gemara, heicha dekviya hezeka shani. If there's a known danger, then it's also for you to put yourself in danger. You don't say, Shluchei mitzvah ein zoikin. D'chsev, vayomer Shmuel. Says Shmuel, Eich Eilech V'Shama Shol V'Aragona. Because Baruch Hu tells him specifically, go ahead and go be Moishech, go anoint David HaMelech. He says, how could I? Shaul is going to come and kill me. This is sakana. And Hashem didn't say, don't worry. And this is, it doesn't get any bigger than this. Hashem told him specifically, go. And he's telling Hashem it's a sakana. It's not that Hashem said in the Torah 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, make him a zuz and it's a sakana. Hashem told him directly today, go. And it's a sakana, and Hashem agreed with him. But Hashem, there's a trick. Pretend that you're going for something else. Fine. There's a Mesilas Yesharim that brings this Gemara. And he says that, don't say you have bitachon. Oh, I have bitachon Hashem. And I'm going to, if it's a known hezek, it's also for you to have bitachon. And he says that if you put yourself in a matzav sakana, so then you lose the shmira that you typically have. So now it becomes even more dangerous. The fact that you put yourself in danger, that removes whatever kind of shmira HaKadosh Baruch Hu had on you to begin with. It's very interesting. You can use this in a lot of different things. A person goes into a room and he says, I'm not worried about yichud. It doesn't apply to me. But then, all of a sudden, the shmira that you had beforehand goes away. So you put yourself in more of a sakana. And then a very interesting thing, he says, what about people that have anxiety? He says anxiety, to be careful, and this, let's say somebody's scared to fly in a plane. I was just thinking as a mashal. He's scared. He says that's bittul Torah, he calls that. He says you're using your energy for the wrong thing. If you don't have the reason, let's say we know that flying in a plane is the safest mode of transportation. So you're going to worry about something that doesn't exist, that's bittul Torah, he says. You can't, it's asur. You shouldn't have anxiety from these kind of things if you could control it. Tony Rav Kahana, Chamei Rabbi Yehuda. Beis HaTeven. So now we have a machlokes here. Rav Kahana and Rabbi Yehuda. Beis HaTeven or Beis HaBokar or Beis HaEtzim. I thought it was a Ashgacha Pratis. You guys could laugh. Yesterday, from 700 pictures in Erevin, I wanted to find a Chatzar. And there's dozens and dozens. I pulled out the one that has to do with today. I didn't have. Unbelievable. It's in the book. This should be in the book. A whole chapter. Beis HaEtzim, Beis HaTeven, Beis HaBokar, right here. Yesterday I didn't learn this yet. Unbelievable. Dailam makes chayzik here. It's unbelievable. Where's that guy that's supposed to sit here? He's not here. Okay. See, that's why. Yesterday you were very quiet, Granda. You had a pachad. I saw. These are all storage rooms. They're not for living. So you're part of a mezuzah. A Beis HaBakar, your little, what's it called in English? Your barn, your wood storage, all these things, not a mezuzah. Mipnei, the Gemara says the reason. It's because the women beautify themselves in them. What does that mean? since they're unclothed, it's not proper to be in front of a mezuzah. You don't have a mezuzah with such a thing. Okay, so if we stop right here, what about a bedroom? What? Yeah, they used to. We'll see. They put on makeup. This that. Oh, would they clean themselves in a barn? In the barn. I know Tysus goes into it that it was too dirty. They didn't do it. We'll see later. Yeah. Try. What are you talking about? If there's a little bit of a smell, bismanenu, they move to another country. Forget. I'm not going to live in this house. Bring this. Yeah. They used to go into the barn and take a nice bath. Okay. But what about a bedroom? A bedroom also, you get dressed, you do different things in a bedroom. So, but we put a mezuzah on bedrooms because it's usually on the outside of the room. But even in the inside of the room, if you put it in a double wrap, that's okay. Certainly not in a bathroom. Okay. Huh? The shin on the case. Okay. But it's usually on the outside of the room, so we don't have that much of an issue. I just want to point out something because I saw a kasha here in the Torah's Yoma. He asks, and I hope I'm saying it correctly, but I could discuss it with him later. He's asking a shayla between, maybe we should go a little weiter, but in terms of if people get dressed in a room, why is it any different than maybe a Beis HaMerchat, something like that? And I think, Shin Lamed Aleph, Rabbi Weissman, look in Shin Lamed Aleph, your kasha over there, when I was learning it, I think the pshat is, if it's a room, and it's a base covered, whatever the lashon is, it's a base deer that's base covered. It's a regular bedroom, you do your other things there. It happens to be that once in a while, you get undressed, that's a room that's chayav b'mezuzah. But if the room is specific for getting undressed, then that's a bizayin to the mezuzah. So you could have both. You could get undressed and still have it a base cover, because that's the ikar tashmish of that room. Omer Rabbi Yehuda, time of the reichat sois. Hastama chayaven. Don't worry, Rabbi Weiss, I'm not going to pick on you every day. I don't really have time. But it was givaldik a gift. Yishkoyach. Only Rabbi Yehuda, time of the reichat sois. Hastama chayaven. So it comes around Rabbi Yehuda and says, it's because there's a bazayin to the mezuzah. But what about a regular room, a regular storage, regular barn? Chayaven. Vatanya refes bakar p'turim and mezuzah. It says that a typical barn is patur. So therefore, Rav Kahana changes it. They get ready. They get ready for whatever they need to get ready. They put on the makeup there. They need a private place. They go into the barn. You're laughing. Their houses were 4x4 amas in those days. They didn't have these 1,000 square feet homes with the elevators. Now, so it's mamish punkt verkehrt in what we were saying. The bakar is not saying why you should not put a mezuzah. It's saying even though the women do get ready there, they're still potter. How could you say that you're potter if women get ready there? Let's see if I have this. This didn't. Gary, you see what happens? See, I can't. Sometimes I do a whole chart and I figure out later that's on the new printer, whatever. I have to. Okay, today. If it's a refes bakar, it's a barn that women use it for their own things. Chayav is b'mezuzah. So you have both. You have yes and no. No, you got to sit over there in the back. It's like, maybe I have a great idea. Nachman, can you sit there? You'll take care of these two clowns. All they do is they shmooze this. It would be an unbelievable idea. You'll do a timer for the whole shir. All right, fine. Enough litzanos. So I don't know if you could see this, but according to Rav Kahana, miskashtos, if they're using the room for getting ready, is chayav. So let's see. Tanoi. Lididi nami stoma tanoi. So I hold that if it's stam, there's no usage for it. Just a regular barn, a regular room for wood. it's machlokes tanoi. But if it's a woman gets ready there, everybody agrees it's chayav. Whereas Rav Yehuda is going to hold that if it's stam, it's completely potter. If a woman gets ready there, then that's where we have the machlokes. Very simple machlokes here. There's a lot of words, but very simple. The sanya, beisecha. It has to be a house that's specifically for you. Besides all these other rooms. But this is machlokes. But if it's a place that you do things that are mamish b'zoyin for the mezuzah, a restroom, ubeis habursike, a tannery, ubeis hamerchatz, we're ubeis hamerchatz, how do you call a bathhouse? Ubeis hatvila, a mikvah, b'shanoshim noyisiv them, or they get ready there. P'turim min hamezuzah. Rav Kahana mitaris tamei, Rav Yehuda mitaris tamei. So each one is going to answer this brayso, the steer in the braysos, according to them. Rav Kahana mitaris tamei, beisecha, beischam yuchlecha, pradel beis hateven, ubeis habokal, beis haitzim, beis haitzim, p'turim min hamezuzah, bistam. So this bride is going to hold that if it's stam, potter. So we have machloikis according to Rav Kahana. Machloikis, blue, machloikis. So if they bathe there, but now we have the same thing twice. We have a public bathhouse, right? And we have a private bathhouse. The barn that she decided to use for two uses, for her cows and their dung, and for her own merchatz. Ashminu merchatz the Rav, Ashminu merchatz the Yachid. Here's the Chiddush. Merchatz the Rav, there's a lot of, I don't even know how to say zuam in English, a lot of disgustingness. What? Filth? It's not a great, no. Foulness, like zuama. It's not really filthy. Eilecha filth, gadol mebakar. You're in a barn, Rabbi, so it's very filthy. But it's not zuama. It's not in the ear. Aval merchatz the yochid le'novish zuame eima l'chai b'mezuzah komash malon. So the chiddush is that even though it's in a private place and she's the only person that uses it, and it's not so filthy, it's not so foul, nevertheless. Nevertheless, it's considered a beis hamerchatz, and you're potter from a mezuzah. Kamash malon. Okay. Rav Yehuda mitaris tamei. No, I see that you learned your lesson already. Yeah. What were you going to ask? Yeah, no. I didn't. No, I'm usually asked this kasha, but I once embarrassed him beravim. He doesn't ask the kasha anymore. But what's this kasha? It's a very good kasha. So just say woman, just say the private woman, and you don't know this. That's this kasha. He knows the kasha. But he's scared to ask it. Loizu avzu. You know my answer. Okay. Loizu avzu. Fine. Zog the Gemara. No, for the last few times he didn't. I was hoping that now I'll trip you up. Didn't work. Finished. Done. We're done for life. Rav Yehuda and Rav Yehuda says it his way. We need to get to Rav Yehuda to explain this thing that according Stam is Potter, Miskashlis is a Machlokes. That what? Even when they get ready, they are Potter. There's Machlokes in Miskashlis. Here you go. Aval Stam, they are called Potter, green. If it's Stam, it's green. These are things that are bizarre for the mezuzah. It's no good. You don't put a mezuzah in beisakise. Rav Yehuda, stama direct potter. What are you telling me? This is true. That according to everybody, if it's stam, there's no usage. Beis haitzim or refes, beis bakars, let's call beis bakar. A barn. You potter from mezuzah. Vataya bisharecha echad shari batim echad shari chatzeres echad shari medinois. Here, that's it. That's the end of the question, right there. It says mefurish that a barn. How can you tell me, Rav Yehuda, that everybody agrees potter when here's a mefurish brayso? Okay, so you'll say it's a machlokes, but don't tell me that everybody that it's lekula alma when I tell you mefurish. But in order to finish the question, we have to learn 10 more lines just to finish it off. But here's the question: the word refes. Yochel shani marbe af beishar achsadra umer peset. So we just turned to Daf Yomi Amud Beis sponsored by Yaakov Badner and Sim Zogalo for Shidduch for Dina Tamar Bas Esther Rivka. By the way, Rabbi Sai, a very nice amount of resumes came in. I just got 2 more guy resumes this morning, but we need more guys. Baruch Hashem, we have some really good zchus. For real, we have very good girls and boys. What? I know, like the Shidduch crisis is within the shadchan himself. Yeah. No, it's because the guys are embarrassed. But even this morning, mamish, before I came to share, I got 2. Be'emet, 2 guys. And if they're writing, so obviously they're learners, because most of these girls want someone that's kaveitim and this and that. Kaveitim, they're learning the daf. Beis shar. What's a beis shar? What? I should send you the guys? No, I need them for me. You can't. I'm doing shidduchim. Marrying them all off. Fine, I'll send you. I'm sorry. You mean you don't need girls because you got a lot. Okay. Beis shar. Here's a house that's a gate to come into the city. Achsadra, gatehouse. Thank you. Achsadra is something like this. What do they call it in English, Achsadra? A portico. Okay. This is Achsadra. Next, mirpeset. We know what a mirpeset is, but it's like, those cheap hotels that you climb up the steps and you go to your room like this. That's what it is. And there's a doorway over here, so this door is Chaya b'mezuzah. What? A vestibule. Oh, I like that better actually. This is like a vestibule. You're talking about not this, not the chsadra. Yeah, that's better. I like that. That's a better word. Vestibule says David. Okay, vestibule. No, I think he's right. I like that word better. It's not as fancy. Portico is fancier. So hold on. Did I skip something here? Yes. I would think that you have to do a mezuzah in these guys. You don't have to do. So it's interesting. We have to understand why. Sometimes yes, sometimes not. The beis shar not. But let's say that other thing we had going into the shar to city, yes. Beis shar not. Maybe you should put a mezuzah on a bathroom. Has to be a room for kavod. That's what I was saying. A bedroom is the kavod. Just sometimes you get undressed there. Okay. Oh, I didn't say everybody. Sorry. We just turned to Daf Yomi, sponsored for Shidduch for Shaindel Rachel Bas Avram Tzvi and Soralina Bas Goldalea. I stopped to say about the boys that are coming in. We need more boys. Rabbi says, send in the boys. So I think you also need a mezuzah on harabayis and in all of the gates over here, in all the rooms. Not something that's kedusha. So, first of all, the question of the Gemara. The question of the Gemara is, Rabbi Yehuda says that there's no Tana that holds that a refes needs a mezuzah over here. Mefurish, the whole brisa says, we learned the whole brisa, but all in the beginning of the brisa says refes does. That's a machlokes. What are you telling me that everybody, to yufta, that's a bomb kasha. Another question that they ask over here is that it says Mefurish that in Beis Hamikdash you don't need a mezuzah. We just learned that you need a mezuzah here and here. So the answer, one of the answers is that this became a bais. That's one answer, because they're living there. So that's not your typical kedusha of interesting answers. The other thing is that it's machlokes. They argue in the whole brayz. They argue on this idea that a Beis Hamikdash doesn't need a mezuzah. I know, but if the Torah says not to do in choil, first of all, Gzeir is only according to Rav Yehuda. Rabbanan are the majority, and they hold it's not Gzeir. So according to what Rabbanan argued, so you have to say Rabbanan argued. The what? Oh, you mean that in general not, but that yes? But why? You mean and that's what he's saying. In general not, but because it's Gzeir. Okay, fine, let's go. Shisha sha'arim p'tur min mezuzah. The 6 gates that don't need a mezuzah. So count with me. Beis HaTeven, 1. Beis HaBakar, Ubeis HaEtzim, 3. Ubeis HaYitzarais, all these storage houses. V'shar HaModai, 5. V'shar Sheni Mekura, and a gate that doesn't have Do I have a picture? I think I have. Here, something like this. Just a regular shar. It just opens and closes, but doesn't have anything on top. If it doesn't have 10 tvachim, now you're up to 7. You tell me the 6 and then you count off 7. Because it's machlokes tanoim, the shar modeh. What's shar modeh? Shar modeh has a circular top, like a yarmulke, like a kippah. It goes like this, arched. The sanyo, kippah. So now we have to understand that in order for a doorway, a gate, to be chayiv b'mezuzah, you need 2 things. It has to be at least 10 tefachim tall. It has to be 4 tefachim wide. So what happens if it's not really 4 tefachim wide because the top is arched? Where's your 4 tefachim? It's a point on the top. Do we consider this part that has an opening as your arch, or maybe your lentil has to be 4 tefachim? Remeir mechayiv b'mezuzah v'chachamim poidrim. Remeir says yichayiv, chacham say yipater. V'shavin shem yesh biragla asara. One thing is pashat, that if it has 10 tefachim, as you see, they did a very nice job in the Mesifta with the boxes. Every box is a tefach. Here's 10 tefachim with the red line is 10 tefachim. So here you have 10 tefachim up to here, and then it starts arching. So fine. So you pretend that there was from here to here, it's closed off. You have a nice shar. Everybody agrees to this halacha that if it's 10 tefachim tall, the side post, then you chayiv b'mezuzah. Shechayiv b'mezuzah. Omer Abaye. The kula awel gavoya asora ve'im beragla shloisha. Everybody agrees that if it's 10 tefachim tall, but it starts arching before it reaches 3 tefachim. So now anything less than 3 tefachim is always lavud. It's considered part of the ground. So you don't really, because it's very important to say that you side. Because soon we're going to say the idea of chaykikim. You pretend that we carve out. We could only pretend if you have. You have to start off with something. You can't carve out a solid wall. So if you start off with 4 tefachim somewhere, then you could continue the whole doorway and cut it out. Like, once I'm talking about chaykikim, like this. You have 4 tefachim over here. So even though on top you don't have 4 tefachim, according to Remeir, you carve out everything in red, you pretend it's not there halachically. But that's because you have 4 tefachim down here. But if it's within 3 tefachim to the ground, then you don't even have 3 tefachim halachically. The 3 tefachim are in the ground. It's not real 3 tefachim, and mainly you don't say chaykikim. If it doesn't have it doesn't have 3 tefachim tall, where it's 4 tefachim wide, vilav klumi. Everybody agrees it doesn't even start this door. You don't need mezuzah. Inami. Or it has 3, but it's very short. Vilav klumi. So where's machlokes? This case is a machlokes. By the way, it's interesting because I pulled this from Eruvin, and it's the same daf, Eruvin Yud Aleph. So, if you have 4 tefachim this way, and 10 tefachim tall, however, you don't have 10 tefachim at the height, you don't have 4 tefachim wide there, so that's the shayla. You could possibly carve it out. Where can't you carve it out? Here's a story that you cannot carve it out. Similar to what we have here in the front, we're supposed to have a little of a shar. But there's nowhere that you could carve, because it's all ear. This is all ear. So you can't carve anything. It's a base shar, it's arched without any ability to carve out and make it 4 tefachim wide, whereas over here, it's square. And I could cut out this area right here, and Memela, according to Remeir, he says all over Shas, the idea of chaykikim and different halachas, and Shabbos we had it already, that you could carve areas out as long as you start the carving. You have like a hole in the wall, and you threw something in there on Shabbos, chaykikim, not chaykikim. What time is it? Oh, we have 3 minutes. You don't say the concept of chaykikim. You have a shul, and a woman's house, and a partner's house. Of course, you chayiv mezuzah. Why should a woman not be part? Why should a woman be part in mezuzah? It says in lashon zocher, not beiseich, beisecha, yours. V'loy beisa, beisecha v'loy b'teihem. It's singular, not shutfim. Maybe indeed a woman should be part. What? Mezuzah gives you long life. What? Women don't want long life? Of course they do. Taisus and Kedushin asked the question, if so, women should be chayiv to learn Torah. Because it says, Ki chayecha. What, women don't want life? So there's a number of tirusim to that. Because there's actually a passage that says that they shouldn't learn Voidatim levonecha, that they're potter. So Mela, they don't have that drush. That's one. Okay. Zog the Gemara, what? Where? Yeah. No, but basically, no. But he's saying that should be like levonecha, the same drasha we should say over here. Oh, we're getting to Sukkah. You're sure you're gonna have to sit down for Sukkah. That's he knows that Masechta very, very well. He made many siyum on it. All right, Zog the Gemara, ve'machinami. Why do we need the word beisecha? Kidarava, Rava derech bi ascha. Where do you put the mezuzah? On the right hand side of the door as you come into the house, not on the right side of the door as you leave the house. When a person lifts up his first foot, which one is it? The yamina aggravation. Shivasema says a very nice thing here. He says to explain. He says that mezuzah is for chayvas hadar, for living inside the house. So when you go into the house, it's not when you leave the house. It's not when you're leaving your chayv mezuzah. When you come into the house, you chayv mezuzah. Masha'inga, let's say Pirsum Minisa of Halak Zner Chanukah is for the outside. That's why we put it on the left side of the door. Okay, Stama, I know we don't have time, but interesting Shiloh. What if a guy's a lefty and he always starts with his left foot? So the Rishonim talk about it. The Mordechai says, okay, but the rest of his family not. They're righties. So says the Shach, what? So if they're all lefties, he should actually put the mezuzah on the left hand. It doesn't make any sense because it's a chiv in the house, not on the people. Okay. Zog the Gemara. Tanya Yidach. Huh? Visitors, okay. But they don't count as much, but okay. Tanya Yidach. Beis HaKnesses u Beis HaShutvim Beis HaYisha mitame bin HaGoyim. Right? Negat Tzaras is on the body, but also on the house. What kind of house? Any house, even a shul, even a partner's house. There's a partnership in the home. A woman's house. Pshita. What? A woman is different than a man. Ma'od the same uba asher loy habayis. Loy, zoche, v'loy la. Loy, v'loy la. And again, singular. Maybe indeed this miyud is a good one. Is plural, everybody's house. Then why does the Torah say loy? Listen to this. Here, stuck in Yoma, Daf Yomi, Amud Beis, another Musa to Klal Yisrael. When you have, how do you get tzaras? When you're stingy. You don't share with others. Guy comes, can I borrow your drill? I don't have a drill. Can I borrow your car? It's broken. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mefarsim, what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? He gives the person tzaras. All of a sudden he has to take all the stuff outside. You said you didn't have a drill. What's that? Beautiful. Look at that set. 3 batteries. So, but it teaches us the idea that it's a mitzvah to lend, to help your fellow Jew. Let's stop over here, unfortunately. Okay, have a wonderful day. Shir HaMa'alois b'makom b'tzif Adinoi. Adinoi, Shema b'kolei. Wie sagen wir so am Schieb oder doch konnte. Sie laden mich schon mal bei Beuke. Kein so laden noch. Das ist so aber nicht so machen wir Israel. Also Chaya came with of course. Is it a mem at the end or a nun at the end? Very good. Very good. Shkoyach. Where is it? Oh. This just fell. No problem. Oh, I got the safer. Where's the Sharamayim? Over here? Oh no, that's my.